A shocking incident unfolded near San Diego, California. Two Russian women, Christina and Natasha from Samara, were traveling across the United States when hunger set in. Using a navigation app to locate the nearest McDonald's, their GPS guided them onto a restricted route straight into Marine Corps Base Camp Pendleton. Camp Pendleton is no ordinary military installation. It is one of the largest and most strategically significant Marine Corps bases in the United States, housing tens of thousands of personnel and critical training facilities. Civilian access is strictly controlled, and accidental trespassing, while rare, is taken seriously. According to Russian media, the women stopped in a parking area inside the base and were detained by U.S. military personnel. Their vehicle was impounded. They were later transferred into the custody of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, where they have reportedly remained for several days. The Russian embassy in Washington has confirmed the detention. Officials say the women are currently being held at a deportation facility awaiting repatriation. The embassy also claims it has not yet received formal notification from the U.S. State Department, a point that has raised diplomatic eyebrows. Local sources say accidental trespassing at Camp Pendleton is a known issue. Civilian drivers have mistakenly entered the base before, often due to GPS errors. Outcomes vary. Some are turned away, others detained, depending on security conditions and personnel discretion. But timing matters. The incident comes amid heightened U.S.-Russia tensions over espionage and military activity. Just a day earlier, Russian media reported a U.S. Navy reconnaissance aircraft flying near Russia's northern frontier, close to the strategic port of Murmansk, adding to mutual suspicion.
A U.S. Navy surveillance aircraft is back in the Arctic skies, and Moscow is watching closely. Flight data shows an American P-8A Poseidon flying near Murmansk, Russia's key northern military hub. The timing is explosive. It comes as tensions simmer between Washington and Europe over Greenland, NATO unity, and Arctic power lines being quietly redrawn. According to Russian state media, RIA Novosti, a U.S. Navy reconnaissance aircraft was detected flying close to Russia's northern frontier. Flight tracking data from Flight Radar 24 shows the aircraft operating in neutral airspace over the Barents Sea, not far from Murmansk, Russia's most strategic Arctic port. The aircraft in question is a P-8A Poseidon. It took off from Keflavik International Airport in Iceland and flew northward before appearing near the Russian coastline. While the flight remained within international airspace, its proximity to Murmansk immediately drew attention in Moscow. Murmansk is no ordinary port. It is Russia's largest city above the Arctic Circle and a critical base for its northern fleet. Submarines, surface warships, and nuclear deterrence assets all operate from this region, making any surveillance activity nearby highly sensitive. The P-8A Poseidon is designed for exactly this kind of mission. Based on the Boeing 737 platform, it is equipped to track naval movements, monitor surface vessels, and detect submarines beneath the Arctic ice. Its presence signals intelligence gathering, not coincidence. But the flight's timing is what sharpens the edge. This surveillance activity comes amid rising political tension between the United States and Europe over Greenland, a territory that has suddenly become central to strategic competition in the Arctic. At the World Economic Forum, President Donald Trump struck a calculated tone, publicly ruling out military force over Greenland, yet unmistakably vowing that the United States would ultimately take control of the vast Arctic territory. He went further, claiming a framework deal had already been floated with NATO's leadership, an assertion met with uneasy silence across Europe. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte moved swiftly to cool the flames. After meeting Trump, he flatly denied that Greenland's sovereignty was ever discussed, a stark contradiction that exposes a widening rift between Washington's thunderous rhetoric and Europe's wary restraint.
What I don't hear is Greenland is it still under the Kingdom of Denmark in this framework deal?
That issue did not come up anymore in my conversations tonight with the President. We very much focused on what do we need to do to make sure that that huge Arctic region, where change is taking place at the moment, where the Chinese and Russians are more and more active, how we can protect that. That was really the focus of our discussions. Well, I think tonight was a good night, and we have a good agreement to really start working on these issues. And that means that we both agreed, when you look at NATO and what NATO collectively can do to make sure that the whole Arctic region is safe, including Greenland, to work on that part. There's a lot of work to be done to make sure that we do basically everything needed on land, sea and air to make sure that we protect that important part of the world and of NATO territory. And now today, this agreement on working collectively on this deal getting done on the Arctic region, I think we can really commend him for taking that leadership role. He is the leader of the free world. He is the leader of the most powerful nation on earth, the biggest ally in NATO. He is doing exactly what I hope he would do when he was re-elected, knowing him from his first term in office.
What I don't hear is Greenland is it still under the Kingdom of Denmark in this framework deal?
That issue did not come up anymore in my conversations tonight with the President. We very much focused on what do we need to do to make sure that that huge Arctic region, where change is taking place at the moment, where the Chinese and Russians are more and more active, how we can protect that. That was really the focus of our discussions.
NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte sought to calm rising tensions after meeting U.S. President Donald Trump, as controversy over Greenland took another sharp turn. Speaking to Fox News, Rutte made a shocking revelation that the question of Greenland's sovereignty did not even arise in his talks with Trump, despite weeks of threats and dramatic rhetoric from the White House. Instead, Rutte said Trump was now focused on security, particularly how NATO allies can protect the Arctic as Russian and Chinese activity in the region intensifies. According to Rutte, the conversation centered on defending the vast Arctic space, not on changing borders or ownership. His comments came just hours after Trump publicly ruled out using military force and abruptly stepped back from tariff threats aimed at pressuring Denmark.
Well, I think tonight was a good night, and we have a good agreement to really start working on these issues. And that means that we both agreed, when you look at NATO and what NATO collectively can do to make sure that the whole Arctic region is safe, including Greenland, to work on that part. There's a lot of work to be done to make sure that we do basically everything needed on land, sea and air to make sure that we protect that important part of the world and of NATO territory. And now today, this agreement on working collectively on this deal getting done on the Arctic region, I think we can really commend him for taking that leadership role. He is the leader of the free world. He is the leader of the most powerful nation on earth, the biggest ally in NATO. He is doing exactly what I hope he would do when he was re-elected, knowing him from his first term in office.
Trump, however, painted a much bigger picture. After the meeting, he took to social media to announce what he called a framework of a future deal with respect to Greenland. Earlier, at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Trump had insisted he still wanted Greenland, including right, title, and ownership, even as he softened his tone and spoke of cooperation with allies. He later described the proposal as merely a concept of a deal, offering few concrete details.
It's a deal that people jumped at. Really fantastic for the USA. Gets everything we wanted, including especially real national security and international security.
How so? Can you give us some details, please?
Well, the deal is going to be put out pretty soon. We will see. It's right now a little bit in progress, but pretty far along. it gets us everything we needed to get.
Confused you.
Say?
What did Mark Rutte said?
Well, he's a great leader. I think he's fantastic. The Secretary General was representing the other side, which is really us too, because, you know, we're a very important member of NATO. I've done a lot for NATO. And it's really nice. I mean, it's a deal that everybody's very happy with.
Does it still include the United States having ownership of Greenland like you've said you wanted?
It's a long-term deal. It's the ultimate long-term deal. And I think it puts everybody in a really good position, especially as it pertains to security and minerals and everything else.
How long is it, Mr. President?
Spoken to other European leaders?
What?
Have you already spoken to other European leaders?
Yes, I have.
How long will the deal be, Mr. President?
Infinite.
Speak to Denmark.
There is no time limit. It's forever.
And how will you ratify the deal?
It's signed forever.
But you haven't signed anything yet, right?
It's a deal that's forever.
Will there be an effect?
No,
Will there be an
no
effect?
money. I mean, what happens is people are out there and they're working it right now. They're working the details of the deal, but it's what's called an infinite deal. It's forever.
You talked about
There's no time cap.
You talked about being concerned, Mr. President, about Russia trying to come and take over Greenland. If you're worried that Putin would do something like that, why invite him to join your board of peace?
Because we want everybody. We want all nations. We want all nations where people have control, people have power. That way we're never going to have a problem. This is the greatest board ever assembled. And everybody wants to be on it. But yeah, I have some controversial people on it, but these are people that get the job done. These are people that have tremendous influence. But all babies on the board, it wouldn't be very much. So he was invited. He's accepted. Many people have accepted. I don't know of anybody that hasn't accepted. But it's going to be great. I think the Board of Peace will be the most prestigious board ever, and it's going to get a lot of work done that the United Nations should have done. And we'll work with the United Nations, but the Board of Peace is going to be special. We're going to have peace. It started off with Gaza, the Middle East. We've got peace in the Middle East, tremendous peace in the Middle East. Nobody thought that was possible. And that happened by taking out the Iran nuclear threat. Without that, it could have never happened. But the board is going to be, I think, really fantastic. And I think it'll be the most prestigious board of any board ever in world history. Thank you very much.
That vagueness has fueled deep suspicion. When pressed on Fox News about whether Greenland would remain part of the Kingdom of Denmark under this framework, Rutte again stressed the issue was never discussed. NATO officials echoed that line, saying talks would focus only on collective Arctic security. But critics say the silence is alarming. Danish politicians questioned how any framework could exist without Greenland being involved at all. In Nuuk, residents reacted with disbelief, accusing Trump of misleading the public and reaffirming that Greenland is not for sale. With Trump's words shifting by the hour from ownership claims to vague deal frameworks, many now suspect this sudden de-escalation is tactical, not genuine. For now, Rutte's carefully chosen words may have cooled the moment, but uncertainty and mistrust still hang heavily over the Arctic.
President Donald Trump said he won't use force to take Greenland, but described this Arctic island as a strategic piece of ice that he must control. Greenlanders we've spoken to think Trump is dismissing them as a people, and they are afraid of his threats. They've been told by authorities here to have enough food and supplies at home for 5 days. Greenlanders are also confused about why Trump wants to own their island. Trump says he must control Greenland to boost American security, but Greenlanders point to the fact he has a defense agreement with Denmark under which he can increase the US's military presence here. Greenlanders also think he wants to control the island to take advantage of its untapped natural resources and minerals, but Greenland's business minister said the island is open for US investment. The most difficult reason for Europeans and Greenlanders to understand as to why Trump wants to own Greenland might be Greenlanders think that he wants to make America bigger on the map. This is extremely difficult for them to understand because it harks back to the great power politics that led to the Second World War.